Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So round two, got things fixed. But this Saturday morning, afternoon, I want to talk about why Bitcoin is incredibly oversold, according to this one Bloomberg analyst, and plus due to all the things I've been saying. And also there's several big altcoin news, including what happened with Solana. There's more bad news coming out of Solana. And what's going on with Cardano? Is it a religion? Well, let's discuss these things and more. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Make sure you check out CryptosRUs.com and check out my brand new channels. All right, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think I finally got it this time around. Let me get things ready here. All right, I got this going. Got to change my screen here. Boom, working like a charm. All right, so today, Bitcoin, you can see hovering around 23,001 is not doing much right now. You got to zoom out a little bit. You see it's kind of straddling a little bit above this previous support, or this current support, I should say. It is looking like it just wants to move. It wants to break out. It's waiting for something to happen, right? But we have seen this before. We have seen this many times before. In fact, I did find something that looks exactly like what we're going through right now. And that is the 2018-2019 bottom. If you look at what happened in 2018 when Bitcoin fell down incredibly, down to about $3,000, then it started coming back up. And I have told you guys this before. When we come up from a bottom, it's not an instantaneous V-shaped recovery. Sometimes you have to wait. You wait and wait and wait and wait. You had to wait 4 months from 2018, December 2018, to 2019 before Bitcoin broke out of 4,000, and then it never looked back. But it was stuck between 3,000 and 4,000 for 4 or 5 months, and people were giving up hope. But how many people would love to go back to 2018 and 2019 and buy some cheap Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else back then, right? Of course, everyone would. That's because we have the power of hindsight, which is never wrong. It's always 20/20, right? But during the time, people were fearful. They didn't believe. They thought Bitcoin's going to fall to 1,000, right? But that's looking like what's happening right now. We did fall to 17,000. We're up to 23,000. It seems like Bitcoin's not moving, right? We're kind of stuck there. But what's next could be incredibly awesome. And that could be right around the corner. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And the similarities are very, very... It's uncanny, really, if you look at the similarities. But anyways, just want to start out with that. Our current path versus previous bottom looking incredibly similar. But also, there's many others, including Bloomberg. Mike McGlone. He's a big Bitcoin bull. He's a senior commodity strategist. And he believes Bitcoin is incredibly oversold. He looks at a lot of different things, but the one thing that he's pointing out right now is the 100 weekly moving average, not the 200-day weekly moving average. This is a 100-week moving average. And he believes Bitcoin, after hitting it, makes it incredibly, incredibly oversold. And Bitcoin has not seen this many times in its history. So that's also very, very positive and very bullish. Of course, there's other things. I showed this on a thumbnail from Plan B. Just looking at pure basic indicator like RSI, measuring how oversold Bitcoin is. It's oversold. It's oversold just like previous bottoms, right? And it's coming up from the bottom. That's the good thing. So we do see that reversal too. So there's a lot of stuff, right, that's still showing Bitcoin is on its way, and we're seeing it right now, obviously, and we're seeing the entire market cap come up, and that is fantastic. And not only that, we still have some great news worldwide. We have a director of Central Bank Brazil that talks about Bitcoin in a very positive way. And we know that Brazil is one of the large countries that's looking at embracing Bitcoin. So from a world adoption, still growing, little bit at a time, and these are fantastic news or outlook or forecast for the best asset we now have, and that is Bitcoin, right? All right, so I want to start off with that. Nothing has changed from Bitcoin other than goodness. What about some altcoin news? Well, Charles from Cardano, not very happy about what was said recently on Rand's show among these guys, and they were talking about how Cardano, there's two types of projects. You have ones with tech and ones with religion, and Cardano is the type with religion. So he was implying that there's no tech behind Cardano. It's just pure religion, and Charles obviously did not like that one bit. All right, so need some volunteers to price bulk Kool-Aid orders. We might as well shut down all these academic research centers and fired 100 engineers while we're at it, right? So yeah, there's still a lot of people getting on Cardano, trying to bring it down for whatever reason. I don't know, to pump their own bags, right? Don't know why people are still picking on Cardano, especially when we see some of these other projects that are having problems and getting hacked left and right. But somehow people are thinking, okay, that's okay. That's still better, you know, to have projects lose tens of millions or hundreds of millions. Somehow that's still better than Cardano, which you can pinpoint, oh, it's not fully done yet. I don't know if that's better, right? So that's the thing. There's still a lot of people that like to pick on Cardano for how slow they are and how they're not done and this and that and how delayed things. But as far as I know, they haven't had a network outage. They haven't had hundreds of millions of dollars hacked from the network. So I don't know. I still don't get all the hate towards Cardano. But what I do know is this. There are a lot of whales that started accumulating Cardano or ADA once again. 138 million of ADA in the past 8 days. Do they know something? Do they know something we don't? Are they preparing for a huge climb? Well, I was in the same boat, guys. Back in 2018, around here, when Bitcoin fell down, I could have picked up ADA at like 1 cent. Probably less than 1 cent at that point. But I didn't. I thought Cardano would never go up. I thought over the years, going to 2019, 20, 21, I'm like, man, Cardano's not going to go anywhere. You know, they're just being carried by their fans and they're not going to move. And I missed out on that huge gain from 1 cent or sub 1 cent all the way up to $3. Missed that pretty much completely. I did get in a little bit around the $1 ish, right? Now, obviously, that's a little bit below waters. But, man, you know, that's the thing. I've learned my lesson on Cardano. You know, it's always been like this. People get on it saying not complete and this and that. But it has moved quite a bit over the years, despite it not being done and them taking their time at finishing things. What else is there? Avalanche. Avalanche is coming up again in a big way. There's no real particular reason other than they still have a ton of TVL. They still have a ton of DeFi. They're still churning away, and they were simply oversold. So I'm glad to see Avalanche up. Filecoin is also up, right? Filecoin isn't the sexiest project. It's more or less just decentralized storage, but they are making waves as well. So those are good things. And speaking of Avalanche, I did talk about TVL. Right here is showing the daily transaction count, and it is flying back up again and has formed a new all-time high. So that's fantastic for Avalanche. What else is there? Dogecoin. Elon is still talking about Dogecoin. I don't know if it pumped up because of Elon. Not really. But Elon did another interview recently, and he was asked about Doge, why he loves Doge so much, why Doge at all. And to quote him, I'm mainly supporting Doge, frankly, because I think Doge has the memes and dogs, and it seems to have a sense of humor and doesn't take it himself too seriously. I think actually, weirdly, even though Doge was designed to be like this ridiculous joke currency, but the actual total transactional throughput capability of Doge is much higher than Bitcoin. Interesting. Well, that is true. There's nothing wrong with that statement in terms of its transactional throughput is higher if you discount the Lightning Network. Now, if you plug in a Lightning Network, then it's not even close, right? But by itself, yeah, because Dogecoin is a fork of Litecoin, and Litecoin is a fork of Bitcoin. So technically speaking, they're a little bit more advanced. They were programmed that way, right? Except the two people that started Dogecoin, they didn't believe in it at all, and they actually sold off all of their own invention, which could be seen as one of the most, I don't know, to put it lightly, one of the most regrettable moments in crypto history, right? Both of them, Billy Marcus and Jackson Palmer, you know, they would be billionaires, more than billionaires. They have like tens of billions, but they both sold off because they didn't even believe in their own creation. And that's the sad thing. And Jackson Palmer right now is so hateful that he's attacking Dogecoin, attacking Elon, attacking everyone he can, because he's sitting in his office realizing what a huge mistake he has made. Unfortunately. All right, what else is there? ETH is still doing just fine. Number of people holding ETH is at all-time high. There's addresses of more than 311,000 that has more than 10 ETH, right? So if you're one of them, congratulations. It sounds like a huge number. It is, but again, think about from the context of 8 billion people out there, then 311,000 doesn't seem like a whole lot, right? If you think about it. And out of this, probably only a third of it is actually real people. The others are just from the same people. They're all real people, but like, yeah, there's people with multiple addresses. That's what I mean. So actually, the number of people holding 10 plus coins in an address is actually way less than 311,000 if you think about it. All right. Lastly, well, you know, Solana can't seem to catch a break these days. So CoinDesk has this investigation report that just came out about Saber, how the developers of Saber Finance faked basically all this DeFi stuff. TVL, you know how I used to talk about TVL quite a lot, like the total value locked of the liquidity, right? So Saber, the guys who create Saber, create all these other bunches of DeFi projects, and they just layered it on top of each other, and the TVL were double counted. So basically, at its peak, a lot of the TVL was just the same. It was double counted or triple counted, and basically this breaks down how the guys who started Saber faked it and did it on purpose, and could be the reason why Solana moved up so much, because people were paying attention to TVL and it was flying up, right? So unfortunately, yeah, more bad news. I don't even know, like, I mean, there's so much things coming out. I think most people are just overlooking this, like, okay, they cheated the system, whatever. But this could be the primary reason why Solana went up so much in 2021, because of the growing DeFi ecosystem and growing TVL, right? And because of that, DeFi Lima, which is pretty much the biggest site that measures TVL, they said they're going to de-emphasize double-counted crypto deposits after the Saber revelation. So they're going to change their metric to get rid of this double counting thing, where if you have a project layered on top of another project, it doesn't count the TVL twice, right? So it makes sense. And looking at the TVL of the entire space, Ethereum obviously is still leading, about 40 billion in TVL. Then you have Tron, which I totally do not trust, so I'm going to discount them completely. Then you have Binance Smart Chain, so I'm going to say they're more like number 2. Then you have Avalanche, and then you have Solana, then Polygon, Chronos, Optimism is coming up in a big way, layer 2, Arbitrum, and then Phantom, and you keep going down from there. So those are the big boys that have all the liquidity for all the DeFi out there. And one of the reasons why I've always said the demise of Ethereum is greatly exaggerated is because the TVL of the entire space, more than 50%, in fact, 59.05% belongs on Ethereum. So their demise is greatly exaggerated at this point. All right. I think that's pretty much it. Overall, Bitcoin dominance. I don't know how many of you guys are paying attention to Bitcoin dominance, but it keeps going down. We're at 40.4%. If altcoin strength continues to go up, obviously it is, because you're saying the global market cap is coming closer to 1.1 trillion again. Just yesterday it was like 1.08, and Bitcoin didn't really move. So obviously you have other projects that are moving up today, and that is why Bitcoin dominance is coming down, right? So it's interesting. It's interesting that we're not in full-blown recovery mode. We're not in full-blown altcoin season, but the money that's coming in is definitely coming in not to just Bitcoin, but to altcoins. It's very different, very, very different than all the previous bottoms we had before. You could go back to all previous bottoms for Bitcoin, for the entire market. Bitcoin dominance was above 70%, and most of the cases it was even higher than that. This time around, Bitcoin dominance is at 40%. So it shows you how strong the entire industry is, even though there's been bad actors, a lot of hacks, a lot of rug pulls and all that stuff, but there are a lot of fantastic projects too that people really believe in, and they continue to hold and continue to DCA into them. So that's fantastic. All right, that is pretty much it. Let's do some Q&A. I don't have my water with me, unfortunately. All right, let me scroll up here. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Someone asked about the fear index. Let me pull that up. Crypto fear and greed index. It is at 31 right now. 31 is still fear. It's not terrible, but it's still fear, right? So it makes sense. It makes sense that it's still in fear level, but you know, you're going back to max, and I've said this many times before. When you have a clump of fear like this, clump of fear here, here, those are bottom scenarios, right? And we definitely had our clump of fear about a month or two ago, right? And we're now coming up from there. But of course, we're not in greed, right? But it'll come. We're still slowly recovering. All right, moving on here. What is your favorite Diablo 2 class to play? I think the Barbarian, Barb, and then the Sorceress. You know, Diablo 2, man, I did so many things in Diablo 2 before. And I used to play in hardcore mode, so I would do this, and me and my friends would get a kick out of it. You know, you can only have 8 players in a team, right, in Diablo 2. And it'll be like me and 4 other guys, and it'll be like, you know, whoever's remaining. And the thing when you want to do runs, you take the Sorceress who could teleport, And basically you teleport all the wave points and all the way to Bale, and then you can fight Bale. But in hardcore mode, if you die, you die. You can't recover your body, right? So I had such a strong sorceress. I would teleport, and I would teleport to a room where there's like a ton of monsters, and I'll purposely stand there and wait for them to all aggregate around where I am. Then I would send a teleport back to the town, and then I would get out and say, "Hey, it's clear." And then when they come in, they walk through a teleport. There's 100 guys there, and then they die, and then they get really pissed off. I used to do that all the time just to get a kick out of it. People would get so pissed off due to it. Can you do a TA on Jasmine? No, I'm not. I don't like that. I don't know. I don't know enough about that project, so I'm not going to do any TA on it. Let's see if I missed anything else. Happy Saturday, everyone. She better than Doge regarding utility. I do agree with that. Scrosh. I don't even know what Project Solomon that is. I'm sorry. BitBoy did some portfolio recently. What project to put if you have 1K, 10K, 25K? You know, here's the thing. Here's the thing about portfolios. Like, it really doesn't matter because it depends on your income. If you're a millionaire, putting in 10K into the market is like chump change, right? But doesn't mean that your strategy necessarily changes. If you're just starting out, you want to put $100 in, right? That's what you can afford, or you want to put $1,000 in, or 10,000, or 100,000. I don't think the strategy really changes. I don't. Yeah, I really don't. I mean, you pick out the projects that you think will have the lowest risk, highest returns, right? That's really what it comes down to. And when it comes to crypto, the lowest risk, highest return, well, lowest risk by far has to be Bitcoin, not counting the stable coins, right? And I think the returns, the rewards for Bitcoin is still enormous. Could be absolutely enormous. Bitcoin could be heading to $1 million, right? But you got to give it time. Now, the time aspect is, I think, the biggest thing that people miscalculate on, or that's what causes greed and causes them to do irrational things, like playing with leverage, playing with over collateralization, playing with small caps or micro caps, because people don't have the patience to wait and they want to just make $1 million in a day or a week or a month, right? That's where people get in trouble. But honestly, I think it doesn't matter if you start out at 100 or 100,000, right? You still want to minimize risk and maximize returns and rewards. And you do so by picking out the great, fantastic projects that show potential. And you got to make sure that you have enough Bitcoin. But the holdings should be similar, if not identical. Why do I hate Doge? I don't hate Doge. I just think there's nothing going on. I don't like the fact that the founders, both gave up on their own project. But I know Billy Marcus is back in, so kudos to him. And I think overall he's been a pretty cool guy. But Jackson Palmer is just a complete dick now. But other than that, they're not doing anything. They're not creating anything. No roadmap in sight. No future innovation. At least Sheeb is doing all those things. They have a lot of things in store. So that's the reason. Tony, even though, like in 2021, I had a ton of Solana. And even today, I still have a good amount of Solana. But you can't, at some point, no matter how much you like a project, you can't just ignore all the faults, man. It's like Solana during its heyday was doing very, very, very well. very well. No one cared about anything. It was going up. It's great, right? But then you started seeing all the network outages. And you know, if there's one or two, you're like, okay, growing pains, right? And at first it was like, okay, they had a couple, okay, but then they start having a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 10th, 12th. And at some point you gotta realize, well, then there's something wrong. Like if there's like a dozen outages within less than a year, that there's something wrong with that. They need to fix that, right? And then now we're starting to see more stuff like with the Slope wallet, even though that might not necessarily have anything to do with Solana, but it looks bad. It's the Solana wallet. And now you have this other report about how, half the TVL was fake due to one bad actor, right? And this is all on top of Solana, so none of these things look good. Can't ignore them. You can't just turn a blind eye and say, okay, none of these things matter. They do matter, especially now, right? So, George, I made my 3 BTC a week ago thanks to DCA. Congratulations, Cardinals. That's a lot. 3 BTC. Most people coming in can't even get 1 BTC. Getting 1 BTC is a big accomplishment. For you to get 3 is absolutely enormous. So, congratulations. From America to Japan, hope your day is well. It is, thank you. STEPN, I never liked STEPN. I never trusted them, and I don't like their whole concept. Nick, I'm holding 500 Solana, and it went up 10%. Do I hold or DCA into my others with Solana? Nick, it's really up to you. Depends on how big your bag is relative to everything else in your portfolio. So it just depends. If you're too heavy in Solana, then DCA into the others, and it'll naturally shrink down your Solana percentage, right? So it really depends on you. BitGert, I have no idea what that is. No, I'm actually not using a prime lens. 1835, 1.8 f-stop. It's a good lens. Let's see. Could we be holding back because of what's going on with China and Taiwan? I don't think so. I don't know. There could be some uneasiness due to it, but China's not going to do anything to Taiwan. Taiwan's too important. Part of the reason why Pelosi visited is to show how important Taiwan is to China, basically. TSMC is the crown jewel to Taiwan, and yeah, they're not going to get that. America's not going to let them get that. Other countries won't let them either. And if they somehow do try to invade, probably Taiwan will blow it up themselves. So I don't see anything good that comes from an invasion at this point. But I don't know. We'll see. But I don't really think that's the reason. Last Ledger live update included 70 Cardano tokens. Yes, I did cover that. Are you planning on buying land in my neighbor Alice? No. That game has so much hype when it came out. It's supposed to be like Animal Crossing on top of this chain called Chromia. It never really caught on. And it's taken so long for them to really do anything. It's just not for me. The only land I own is the other side from Yuga Labs. I bought 2 NFTs, and one has a coda, and I'm wondering what they're going to do with it, and that's the only land I'll hold right now. Bubble tea and dim sum. I think you can get bubble tea and dim sum from other places other than Taiwan. Either Donner, Matter, Bitter. Yeah, I think you got the point there. Why do you think ETH is doing better these days than Bitcoin? Ether always does better during good times. It has been ever since it came out. That's just the thing. Ether is basically Bitcoin as smart contracts. They own pretty much everything. All the NFT projects are on Ethereum, the TVL, DeFi, everything, tokenization, everything is running on top of Ethereum. That's why I don't see this whole argument between Bitcoin maxis and I guess Ethereum maxis. The two doesn't really compete. One is basically store value and a hedge against inflation, and you could argue, well, with the Lightning Network, you could use it as a day-to-day currency, right? But Ethereum is none of those things. Ethereum isn't meant to be used for those things. It's supposed to be a utility token and one that you could use to pay gas fees. That's really it. And, you know, there's a lot of innovation and growth. Every single innovation in the crypto space has evolved from Ethereum. So think about that. So that's why they're doing well, and they will continue to do well. Unless they screw up, which could happen. It's not like they can't screw up. They could. But right now, they seem to be okay. Is MicroStrategy a good buy? Ever since Michael Saylor stepped down, it started coming up. It could be a coincidence, or Wall Street's doing it on purpose and trying to make Michael Saylor look bad. But, I mean, Jimmy, if you're a stock guy, yeah, and you don't want to buy Bitcoin for some reason, buying MicroStrategy is like buying a Bitcoin ETF. The stock pretty much moves with Bitcoin, but I would say buying Bitcoin would definitely be my preference. Is this a bull trap? No, I don't think this is a bull trap. Metaverse might be something in a few years, but sucks it right now. I think that's true. That's a true statement right there. Will Ape be a super coin? I don't even know what super coin means. I don't. But if you're asking if it's gonna be good, well, it's good already. And I think Yuga Labs doing more things that'll make it better. Let's just put it that way. What hardware wallet do you use the most? I use Trust Wallet the most, actually. It's not a hardware wallet, but it's a mobile wallet. It's just really easy, convenient. So I use Trust Wallet the most. Are you ready for crypto regulations? Are they coming soon? I don't know. Those kind of things, those kind of regulations that's being talked about in Congress, it takes years before any of them really come to play. And even then, I don't know if they're all going to be bad. The only real bad actor right now is Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler has an agenda. And that agenda is to just dominate and take over and take control, right? And yeah, I don't like that. I mean, you can really tell he has an agenda. But for everyone else, it seems like they're still more open-minded, trying to figure things out. But Gary, he definitely is up to something. All right, guys, I'll let you go. Overall, Bitcoin is looking still okay. Altcoins are coming up. According to some, Bitcoin is incredibly oversold. And I got to say, I agree. I've been saying that for years. But yeah, in terms of altcoin news, there's a couple other things going on. But overall, we are in recovery and things are looking good. And we'll see what happens later today and tomorrow. All right? Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.